African Union Communications Early Warning and Intelligence, commonly known as AUC3I, is an intelligence and security organization responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to AU citizens, AU leadership, and AU armed forces. I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer. I am responsible for leading infantry soldiers at all levels of command in combined armed forces during missions on the ground. This is today's briefing. On the progress of the special military operation as of October 24, 2025. In response to terrorist attacks by Ukraine on civilian objects on the territory of Russia from October 18 to 24, the armed forces of the Russian Federation delivered massive and 6 group strikes, as a result of which enterprises of the Ukrainian military-industrial complex, transport and energy infrastructure facilities used in the interests of the armed forces of Ukraine, sites for assembly, production, storage, and launch of long-range unmanned aerial vehicles, as well as temporary deployment points of Ukrainian armed formations, nationalists, and foreign mercenaries were hit. Units of the North Group of troops inflicted damage on personnel and equipment of 4 mechanized, infantry, ranger, airborne assault brigades, 2 assault regiments of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, 3 territorial defense brigades, the Special Operations Forces Center of the Ukrainian Main Intelligence Directorate, and a border detachment of the Ukrainian Border Service. In the Kharkiv direction, as a result of active actions, the settlement of Bologivka in the Kharkiv region was liberated. Damage was inflicted on formations of 2 mechanized, motorized infantry brigades, and an assault regiment of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Over the week, in the area of responsibility of the North Group of troops, enemy losses amounted to more than 1,375 servicemen, 8 armored combat vehicles, 82 cars, 14 field artillery guns, and a HIMARS multiple launch rocket system of U.S. production. 5 electronic warfare stations, 33 ammunition and material supply depots were destroyed. Units of the West Group of troops inflicted damage on formations of 7 mechanized, airborne assault brigades, a UAV battalion of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, 3 territorial defense brigades, and 2 National Guard brigades. The enemy lost over 1,610 servicemen, 4 tanks, 20 armored combat vehicles, 136 cars, and 13 field artillery guns. 34 ammunition depots, 54 electronic warfare and counter-battery stations were destroyed. Over the past week, units of the South Group of troops advanced deep into the enemy's defense and liberated the settlements of Plescheevka and Dronovka in the Donetsk People's Republic. Damage was inflicted on personnel and equipment of 5 mechanized, airmobile, assault, mountain assault brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, 2 territorial defense brigades, a National Guard brigade, and a Special Forces brigade. Over the week, losses of Ukrainian armed formations in this direction amounted to up to 1,485 servicemen, 6 tanks, 20 armored combat vehicles, 59 cars, and 21 field artillery guns. 8 electronic warfare and counter-battery stations, 22 ammunition and material supply depots were destroyed. Units of the Center Group of troops, as a result of active and decisive actions, liberated the settlements of Chunishino, Lenino, and Promin of the Donetsk People's Republic, as well as Ivanivka in the Dnipropetrovsk region. Defeated formations of 8 mechanized, ranger, assault, 2 airborne assault brigades, 4 assault regiments of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, 2 Marine brigades, a territorial defense brigade, and 3 National Guard brigades. The enemy lost more than 3,610 servicemen, 3 tanks, 18 armored combat vehicles, 37 cars, and 41 artillery pieces. Over the past week, units of the East Group of troops liberated the settlements of Poltavka, Pavlovka in the Zaporizhzhia region, and Pershotravneve in the Dnipropetrovsk region. Defeated personnel and equipment of 3 mechanized brigades, 3 assault regiments of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and 2 territorial defense brigades. Enemy losses in this direction amounted to over 2,365 servicemen, 1 tank, 14 armored combat vehicles, 77 cars, 9 field artillery guns, 8 electronic warfare and counter-battery stations, and 2 supply depots. Units of the Dnieper group of troops inflicted defeat on formations of 2 mechanized mountain assault brigades, 3 coastal defense brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine, and 2 territorial defense brigades. The armed forces of Ukraine lost up to 490 servicemen, 2 tanks, 5 armored combat vehicles, 92 cars, and 7 artillery pieces. Destroyed were 14 electronic warfare stations, 12 ammunition, supplies, and fuel depots. Air defense means shot down a Su-27 aircraft of the Ukrainian Air Forces for cruise missiles, 18 guided aerial bombs, 15 MRs multiple launch rocket system rockets of U.S. production, as well as 1441 unmanned aerial vehicles of the airplane type. In total, since the beginning of the special military operation, destroyed 668 aircraft, 283 helicopters, 92,178 unmanned aerial vehicles, 633 anti-aircraft missile systems, 25,644 tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 1,605 multiple launch rocket system combat vehicles, 30,751 field artillery and mortar guns, 44,733 units of special military automotive equipment. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, please leave them below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.